Hello, beautiful people of the internet. Welcome back to the Games and Culture Podcast bonus episode, as Nick put it before we started recording. I did an episode for this week because there was so much news to cover, but this is the episode that we promised, looking back at 2024 at the news stories and kind of like the
Yeah.
overarching plot of the year. Um,
Part 2 of 3 of our 2024 retrospective.
yes, when it was originally two parts, but then we kind of split it off a little bit because
We had the
there
we had the publisher
wasn't
thing.
news, and then there was news, and it
Well, yeah,
derailed our whole
we had
thing.
the publisher tier list thing to be part 1, and then news happened, so now we're here.
Yes,
And then part
and
3 at the beginning of the
so
year will be happening
yes,
soon.
just like we did last year, talking about 2023, we're going to be talking about 2024, and so some of the big news stories that kind of impacted the video game industry, impacted us, those kind of things. Next episode will be our game of the year for 2024, so look forward to that. Um, because that's and then 2024 will be behind us. It'll be gone. It'll be dusted, and we'll look forward to our Monster Hunter Wilds controlled futures. Um, but let's talk about the biggest news story in 2024, and that's just the unimaginable amount of layoffs in and around the
Yeah.
gaming industry. In 2023, there were about 11,000 layoffs, and 2024 said to 2023, hold my beer, I can do better. And so,
Better.
yeah,
That's the way I'm
better,
putting it.
better. Um, and so in 2024, there were about 15,000 job losses in and around the video game space. And they wasted no time. Activision Blizzard and Microsoft started 2024 off with 1,900 uh, layoffs.
I would imagine
Um,
they went with the most total.
yes, yes. February, EA laid off 670. PlayStation laid off 900. Um, in March, people there weren't that many. Um, and then in April, Take Two laid off 600. In May, that's when we had the closures of some studios from Activision Blizzard slash Microsoft slash Bethesda. That's when Arcane Austin got closed down, Tango Gameworks got closed down, and several others. That was about about 300 different layoffs there. June didn't really have anything. Smaller layoffs at Ubisoft, Gameloft, and Avalanche. Uh, July, Bungie laid off 220 people. Um, in September, Xbox and Activision hit for a second time, laying off 650 more. Um, October was when Firewalk was closed down officially. Well, I think that was right. Well, Firewalk laid off 172 people during that time. I don't think they were closed down yet. High Res Studios laid off 70. Bandai Namco laid off 100. Uh, November, not that many. Hey, that's nice. But then December, bam, 277 laid off at Ubisoft. 120 laid off at People Can Fly. Deck 9 and Ilphonic both were closed down. Uh, WB laid off 99 in the wake of Suicide Squad coming to an end. So you get the picture, right? Almost 15,000. Those are just the biggest ones. I didn't talk about a lot of the smaller ones, um, but yeah, there's an unimaginable amount of job loss in 2024 to the
It
point
all
where like I can't even imagine.
and all just to line the pockets of some greedy CEOs because they wanted a new yacht. Because
For
that's
the
what it's
most
really
part. Yes.
There were some studios that underperformed, and I can understand them actually being cut. But this really comes down to greed and consolidation, which is just more greed.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm assuming Microsoft was the biggest offender in this whole thing, which was but this was a natural
2,700.
this was a natural consequence of consolidation of them buying Activision. So all
PlayStation was
you
number
who
two though,
I'm not
at
surprised,
about 1,400
yeah, that's just
between it and Bungie, and
yeah. I'll get to them in a second. With Microsoft, I was gonna say all you who clapped like seals for this deal to go through, that's what you got. Layoffs. People lost their job because of it, and we're always going to have because that's what consolidation leads to.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll discuss more on Microsoft because they had a bigger role to play this year, but that's they got greedy and they bought another company and they hurt people's jobs to do it. Sony, on the other hand, they didn't buy anybody, but they laid out the 900 people they laid off. The first point was dumb. Like you didn't need to because like literally a week later they announced that this is the most profitable they've ever been in PlayStation.
yep,
So why are you laying people off again? And
bigger
then you had
bonuses.
then Bungie laid off people, and Bungie's just a mess.
Yes,
So Bungie's a little bit of a different weird story because they are Sony, but Sony gives them. I mean, right now I don't know if there are any more. Sony seems to be eating more and more of them. But beforehand, before June, Bungie was pretty much independent though. Like they were owned by Sony, but Sony just kind of went like, as long as you do your numbers, you can do your own business. Um, that's clearly ending now, but it's just a mess. Now, I've argued that they should not have been bombed in the first place. They clearly were not worth it. Um, honestly, what they bought, spent 3-4 billion. You probably could have spent a
four
couple extra
billion.
billion. Yeah, you probably could have spent some other things and got better use for your money.
Yeah,
Um, and then Firewalk closing down. I mean, and we'll discuss Concord more later, but I mean that's not too surprising. Concord Firewalk getting shut down just that was just a that
disaster.
was a that was a Hindenburg crash and burn.
Yes, yes. But yeah, most of this was because the gaming boom during the pandemic saw these companies needing to staff up and to staff up quickly. So they hired a bunch of people, and then instead of trying to maintain that workforce, um, they it's the second that um, things started to dip, because of course they did, because people started going back outside after the pandemic eased up. Um, Instead of finding ways to maintain, they just said, okay, just cut the fat, and we'll be able to be profitable again, even though gaming is in a better spot than it was pre-pandemic. It's super sad. Um,
You're not, you're
I mean,
not gonna hit. Gaming's not gonna hit those 2021 numbers ever unless another thing happens that forces all back indoors.
yeah,
Like, so the fact that you thought you were going to continue to grow, we mentioned before, they thought they were going to continue to grow after the pandemic boom. From that point, like, would you think people were going to stay inside all the time? So why'd you do it? Like, these CEOs are running these companies in the ground because they can't think more than 3 months ahead. And now we're running into other issues like we haven't really discussed this because this now. AI is causing layoffs too, and we're laying off people who actually do the hard work. When we should be using AI as these CEOs because they're the useless ones.
yeah,
The AI probably make better decisions than the CEO could.
yep. I mean, accuracy. um, yeah, it's just unimaginable loss. I mean, to the point where at the Game Awards this year, we hailed this as one of the good moves. There was an award given to a man that had been creating a database for of jobs to give to affected video game workers that have been laid off. Like there, we've gotten so far down the line that independent citizens are like, okay, we got to help these people out because this is just awful. It's just awful. especially if you're in like a QA type role, that you seem like extra expendable to these bigger companies, which is crazy because QA is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important roles.
You would think, but apparently not.
um, just it's crazy sad. And this coming off of 2023, which had 11,000 video game employees laid off. Like, why is this a number that has to go up? Like, this should be the number that we're trying to stop.
But again, it's because, as I say, it's greed. That's really the short end of it. They want more money because, unfortunately, we're discussing games and game publishers right now. But this is not a thing that's happening isolated in the game industry. This is happening across the board, and specifically tech fields, because these people want more money.
Yes.
They do not care about anything about the people they hurt. They don't care about people who lose their homes or can't afford bills. They don't care. It's just a game to them. The game is actually having a high score of money and not caring who you hurt.
Yep. I mean, essentially, yes. You're exactly right. We're in 2025 now, and it's already started with some layoffs and studio closures and stuff like that. So, uh, it's not going away. The problem is it's only going to continue to get worse.
Mm.
Hopefully, this year doesn't have as many. I think it's kind of a long shot, but hopefully so.
It's kind of a long shot. I mean, capitalism is in the stage of eating itself right now, so eventually it's just going to keep eating and eating. So I don't know if we can satiate the beast right now.
Yeah. I I have no idea. But 15,000 workers leaving their roles has definitely made the video game industry worse, not better, because these people were important. These people made games better, and for them to have to leave their roles is not good. And I mean, we did get some good stories around this, like Crafton saving Tango Gameworks
Hmm. So the
and
biggest
most of
blunders
the
for Microsoft.
staff.
One of the biggest blunders for Microsoft. Like, why they said we need games that earn us prestige, and then you close a studio who was doing just that, who
Who
could probably
gave
give
you
you
a
the most
game?
prestige
Who
you had.
gave you like your first game of the year contender in a decade?
Yeah, like, and they say the reason they closed them down was because they didn't have anything ready to go. And it's like, well, yeah, they just released something, duh, but they don't care. They only want what's best for them in the next 3 6 months.
Yes. So there were some stories of some jobs being saved, but I think that was actually the only one that got saved um, across the year. It's just crazy how many names are on here. Sega of America laid off 61 in March. And it's just all across the industry. It's not just here in the U.S. It's across everywhere. Just at some point, I mean, not at some point. Like, this just straight up is not sustainable. You can't keep doing this and
No,
expect to make the money that you guys want to make. Like,
no.
um,
I mean, Nintendo played the cards right 10 plus years ago with Shigeru Iwata when they were failing with the Wii U. They didn't cut their workers; they cut their CEO's pay. And he should have said it's because if our workers have the threat of layoffs hang over their head, that's going to hurt their ability to make games that delight
well,
people. So we're not doing
the
that
only company that's not on this list, pretty much, is looking at the layoffs from last year, is Nintendo.
because they're playing it smart. So did Waters. I mean, he passed away unfortunately before he sees the Switch come to life. But his ploy worked. Those devs created games for the Switch, and now the Switch is the king of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I would doubt that they're doing the same strategy now. If because this year was a bit of a lighter year on Nintendo stuff. I mean, they released a lot, but they're very much more like backbench stuff. Um, their devs are probably working on the high end stuff.
Well, and it was
So,
reported at multiple points last year that Nintendo was staffing up. So
mhm. Yeah, so they're preparing for the Switch too.
staffing up
So,
while also increasing wages.
mhm. I
So
think I think once the Switch 2 releases, they're gonna have a very healthy path forward for them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, but yeah, this cannot continue. Game companies need to do better. This is crazy. 15,000 jobs lost across 160 different companies.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they're not going to do better. Being realistic, they won't. The only thing that you make them to do better is you force them to. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be political will to do that.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's talk about some other stories that happened this year. The unexpected rise and I don't want to say fall, but let's say rise and turmoil of Pal World.
Hmm.
Pal World launched in January of 2024 in early access. Still is in early access. Um, After 2 years in development, after its like announcement trailer, Pokemon with Guns, open world survival game where you can catch monsters called pals, and put them to work in your camp or take them out to battle with you as you shoot other pals or people. I like to capture people in that game. It's funny. It's very very funny. Um, Really a waste of the spheres, but very very funny. Um, it took the world by storm. Indie game just exploded out of nowhere. It was one of the highest concurrent played games on Steam. Just all around people were talking about it, making videos on it. It really encapsulated a lot of the early part of this year. And unfortunately, with success comes attention, and with attention comes a little bit of bad attention. Um, Nintendo, after letting it sit for about 8 months, decided to sue Pal World for copyright infringement over the fact that you threw a ball at a monster.
I love how like not 2 minutes ago we were praising Nintendo, and now we're like, "What the fuck are you doing,
Well, they don't lay
Nintendo?"
off people, but they do make dumb decisions. their war
Like,
on their war on ROMs being a good point of stupidity, um, but yeah, so uh, Power World has maintained pretty high player engagement throughout the year. They just had their second DLC drop for it with a new playable island in December. But uh, this lawsuit makes it hard for them to continue putting out the content that fans like, and it also sets a deadly precedent for the video game industry as a whole.
yeah, because I mean, we discussed in a previous podcast that the lawsuits are because that Nintendo's claiming that they have patent copyright on the act of throwing a ball on and capturing a monster with. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. And like, maybe you should be less focused on what a company editor's doing, and just focus on what Game Freak's doing.
Yes,
Because Scarlet and Violet were piles of crap,
yes, they were.
and you had Nintendo had to literally put
Lifelong
out a statement.
Pokemon fan. Lifelong Pokemon fan. I got a whole shelf dedicated to my love of Pokemon, and I can't stand Scarlet and Violet.
The I mean, the fact that they Nintendo put a statement of apology for the bad condition Scarlet and Violet came out in, like that, Nintendo never has to do that, and yet Scarlet and Violet were so. And this isn't even a case of in Scarlet and Violet's case. This wasn't a case of like the Switch being underpowered. The Scarlet and Violet were not doing things that were that intensive. Game Freak just doesn't know how to design some things. Like they
Mm,
just were making awful decisions. They made the entire map load at once. Not even PS5 games do that.
yeah,
Like a
because it's dumb.
4090 couldn't. Yeah, 4090 couldn't handle that. And yet they expect the Switch to do that? Like that's stupid. So maybe focus on your own house first instead of worrying about with some other competitor who can't hold a finger to Pokemon. Let's be real, because Pokemon's the most highest profitable franchise in the world.
Yes.
Like higher than Marvel, higher than Star Wars, higher than Hello Kitty.
Yep.
Who cares what Power World's doing? They're an ant.
Well, apparently Nintendo cared enough to sue him. and like I said, it sets up a deadly precedent in the video game industry because I mean, who somebody patents turn-based combat and then we're fucked, or active time battles, we're fucked, or fucking Call of Duty, fucking uh copyrights shooting a gun at an enemy using a reticle. Like, it's such a stupid thing. Like, competition is good, it makes us all better, but like there's a point where competition becomes unhealthy and dumb, and this is one of those instances.
I mean, this is why most game developers frown upon uh, game mechanics patents. Like you can patent characters. Like obviously Nintendo's the only one who can use Mario, sure, because that's branding. We get it. You don't want people using your brands. But game mechanics, no, you shouldn't be allowed to patent that because people let someone else take a crack at it. Like, oh, I like what you did. Let me see if I can build upon that.
Yes.
Like there's there's completely no excuse for what they're doing here. I'm hoping that because they're suing them in both the states and Japan. I don't think they have a case in the states. I genuinely don't. From what I know of U.S. law regarding this, I don't think Nintendo may have a case, and hopefully it gets thrown out. I don't know Japan's laws though, so who knows? I'm hoping it goes well for Pal World and Pocket Pair. But obviously Nintendo is very wealthy, so they can afford really good lawyers.
Yes. Yes. And like I said, this just sets up a deadly precedent for the video game industry as a whole. We don't want this kind of thing in video games. So, well, Nintendo didn't lay off anybody. They still made their own little mark on the video game industry in a negative way. Because and honestly, this might be even worse if it goes Nintendo's way, because who knows what they're gonna copyright next? Jumping. Mario jumps, so nobody else can jump in video games anymore.
It's completely ridiculous. And
Mario throws fireballs. Nobody else can throw fireballs. Sorry, Ken and Ryu. Sorry.
yeah, well, I mean, fortunately, that's right. I think if they try and go too extreme with it, there'll be enough. There'll be enough other companies banding together and putting a stop to it.
Yeah, but who
It'll be
knows?
the fact. Who knows? The fact that they even trying this is just like, what the fuck, Nintendo? Like genuinely.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, Nintendo's gonna Nintendo. We say it all the time. Nintendo's gonna Nintendo. You can't stop them from Nintendoing because they're gonna Nintendo. So this was a bad Nintendo.
Yeah, this is the bad side of them.
Switch to good Nintendo. This bad Nintendo. Speaking of console makers, let's talk a little bit about Xbox. This was the first year that they had Activision Blizzard underneath their banner, and they chose to use it by laying off people, but also um, kind of dipping their hand in third party. Seems like they're going to go the route of Sega and start releasing their games on pretty much anything. We saw it happen first over the spring and summer with 4 games: Pentiment, Grounded, Sea of Thieves,
In Hi-Fi Rush.
and Hi-Fi Rush. How is that the one I was having trouble with? Um, and by all accounts, those games going multi-platform did very, very well. There was like over 1 million players on Sea of Thieves on PlayStation within the first couple days. That went so well, in fact, that Xbox's latest release, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, was announced to be coming to PlayStation before the game even released. It comes out in February for PlayStation. And now it seems like all bets are off. They've said that there is no red line when it
Mhm.
comes to games that can come to other platforms.
There's a couple reports. One, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 obviously released on PS5 immediately. They weren't going to delay that. But because of the Game Pass, actual sales for the game created on Xbox, it was an 82% of sales went to PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they upper brass. I'm not talking about Xbox upper brass. I'm talking upper brass of Microsoft itself. They see those numbers. They don't care about the hardware. It's Microsoft. They care about software. That's what Windows is. And they're saying, oh, I put my software anywhere, I make more money.
Hmm.
So, because I mean, Activision was a third-party company before they were bought out, so was Bethesda. So they're seeing the short-term boon of what those two companies were supposed to be doing. Um, it's so I, it's not good. They're probably gonna bow out, but they're at this point trying to mean they're taking up more space than they're worth. Um, they should probably just go third party. In fact, the reports are I don't know who reported it. The reports are though that the reason why they just haven't gone full whole hog with it is just because some devs were just not set up for it yet. So some things are going to be day and date, like the upcoming Doom Dark Ages, um, and some other titles. I think Outer Worlds 2 will be day and date from what it seems like.
Hmm.
But then some other titles might have a delay just because they weren't set up to do I said multi-platform releases immediately. Apparently, there's a report that Microsoft regrets Hellblade 2 being exclusive. Um,
As they should, because that game would have sold better on PlayStation.
yeah. Uh, Gears of War E-Day apparently is rumored to be released on PlayStation, which that's the perfect one to start with. If you're
There's
gonna
there's
do,
even rumors that Halo's coming to PlayStation then soon.
I was gonna be next one. I said if Halo coming to PlayStation, and if Halo goes to PlayStation, it's over. I'm sorry, no, there's no more coming back. There's no more console war after that. You can claim because I've seen people come, oh, Sony's gonna put games on Xbox. When?
No, they're not.
No, they're ultimately no, they're not. The only one they've done is baseball because MLB told them to because they don't own the rights to the MLB, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's it. They're not gonna put Helldivers on Xbox. Why would they do that? So, but you're putting Halo, you put Halo on PlayStation willingly because Sony's not gonna say no to that. Okay, sure. I'm sure when Sony was trying to fight the Activision deal, they weren't thinking the outcome was gonna be we get Halo on PlayStation now.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I'll tell you, if they put Halo on PlayStation, I'll buy it. It's gonna be feel so weird. I'm gonna see press square to reload. It's gonna feel dirty. Um, but like, there's no coming back from that. Like when Sonic appeared on the GameCube, that console war was over. That was the white flag.
Yep.
That's what will be with Halo. Like Master Chief is your mascot, Xbox, and if he moves over to PlayStation, there, that's it. It's no more.
Yeah. There's a Xbox Direct type thing coming up next week. We're gonna get some info on some of their upcoming games. It'll be interesting to see how many of them have
PlayStation
the uh,
logo.
the PlayStation logo attached to them. Because by all accounts, there's no red tape. So
Nope. I am very interested to see what they do.
yep. Because I mean that's the future. It seems like for Microsoft is that we are transitioning to a full third party um,
Which I
release
mean, it's
model.
not great for competition. But I feel like most of the competition, like you get your high end stuff, is PC. Nvidia is not really threatened by AMD that much, honestly. AMD is making some moves, but AMD gets most of its funds from console sales, PlayStation specifically. Middle range is PlayStation, and I'm sorry, Xbox is not competition. They may be there, but they're not really competition. And then there's low range, portable, Nintendo. They really don't have competition. So it's just kind of in Microsoft's shoes, I get why. It's kind of like you're not winning that race anymore. Y'all admitted even if Starfield was an 11 out of 10, people wouldn't switch. But which why the hell would you admit that? Which also is completely false.
And
Like
yeah, and they also admitted themselves that they lost the most important console generation, which was the eighth generation of consoles, when people were forming their digital libraries and entrenching themselves into the ecosystem that they wanted to be a part of.
yeah, but even still, like Hi-Fi Rush is so good. If it was just on Xbox, I would have bought an Xbox to play it. But it wasn't. It was on PC, and now it's on PlayStation. I mean, I don't need an Xbox because they started a campaign last year, guys. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. Well, if everything is an Xbox, nothing is.
Yep.
So, like, I don't. Why go through all that? Like, if I've heard Indiana Jones is really good,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the type of games, but because they already told me, hey, Indiana Jones is going to PS5. Okay, well then I have a PS5 Pro. I'll wait till then because my PC is only at 6060 Super, so I don't want to play on that thing. My PC needs an upgrade. So right now my strongest device is a PS5 Pro. So why would I not wait?
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a PC, and I got Indiana Jones, and it's been fantastic. So
Yeah,
it's an Xbox.
I'm assuming you played it on off of Steam.
No, I played it off the Xbox app through Game Pass.
Okay, for the Game Pass. Okay, okay. Well, that's what they want you to do, so I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have been
But I mean,
surprised if you.
if it was Steam Deck compatible, I would have bought it through Steam.
Mm-hmm. And I'm buying with PlayStation. So really, Microsoft has told us just go elsewhere to get our stuff. Wherever it's easiest for you. Okay, well, it's easiest by me on the PlayStation, so I'll wait. And like when we earlier in the year, when we were doing the Xbox Direct, they showed Gears of War E Day, and I said that Gears of War E Day is a really smart idea. That's a good concept. If it released on PlayStation, then
Which I
okay.
feel like it was designed to release on
I'm
PlayStation,
I feel like
honestly.
I really feel like it was. So like okay, then you're telling me I don't need to buy any of your devices. Like, congrats, yes, you're if you become a third party publisher, you're now the biggest third party publisher in the biz by far. But you're not really in a console war anymore. So I mean, I see people kind of compare Xbox and PlayStation what they're doing, and it's like if Xbox is going third party, PlayStation is not. So
Yeah. PlayStation's
they're not.
you will not see God of War or Horizon or Spider-Man on Xbox. It's not happening.
No. So PlayStation is still running a first party platform business. Because where they get most of their money is when you buy stuff on the PlayStation Store. All their exclusives are designed to be loss leaders for the PlayStation Store. It's like how Steam makes its money. Valve makes its money. They get their money from Steam by just sitting there and taking a 30% cut. So they're since Sony that's their prerogative. That's what their mission statement is. They think more long term and think of the health of the platform. That's not Microsoft's MO anymore, clearly, because Xboxes are cratering in sales.
Yeah, we reported that they were like down 40% versus last year, which was already down. So,
They in the month of November, so the biggest like month of the year in terms of selling hardware. They lost to the Switch
which has been out for 7.5
seven to
years
yeah, like how are you losing to an ancient hardware that's literally runs like crap?
on its last leg, literally.
Yeah, like it is coughing up blood at this point, and you still lost. Like how do you do that?
The Switch is probably Nintendo's longest console cycle, right?
I think the Switch is the longest console cycle for any system ever.
Because NES to SNES was 6 years. SNES to N64 was 5 years. N64 to GameCube was 5 years. GameCube to Wii was 5 years.
Fine.
Wii to Wii U was 6 years. Wii U to Switch was 4 years. Set 5 years.
4.5, yeah.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah, so 8 years is the longest console cycle. Yeah, for
Yeah.
Nintendo ever.
But
For
I think it's just it's just because Sony's record is for the longest was PS3 to PS4 and PS4 to PS5 were both 7 years.
Yep,
So they're
it's the
once
longest console
March
cycle
fits,
ever. Yeah, you're right.
mhm, and you lost. Like how? Like there's already reports they're pulling out of console sales out of the Middle East and North Africa region, and in Europe. I think they're still selling system in Europe, but it's hard to find one because they're just not sending that many
Yeah,
out there.
there's reports last year that multiple game stores in Europe have stopped carrying Xbox because sell they do not sell it.
Nope. And when we were still working at a game store, I mean, there were times where we could go back into our back room and wipe dust off the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the United States, so this is the home turf of Xbox.
Yep.
I couldn't do that with switching PlayStation, our piles. Those things moved. I I don't. There was a lot of dumb mistakes made over the course of the past 10 years. Really, Xbox's downfall started 10 plus years ago in 2013 when they went TV, TV, TV. Uh, no, it's always online. The Xbox is $100 more than PS4.
You can't share your games. We're shoving Connect
Yep.
down your throat.
hmm They tried to walk all that back, but they've never been able to fully recover from it. Sony has recovered from their $600. You'll get a second job about PS3 fiasco. They recovered from it in the same generation.
Yep.
The Xbox doesn't recover from anything here. Like, it's honestly kind of shocking that they haven't. But
It's just all the bad moves that they made. Instead of just investing in the studios and putting out good games, they're trying to do all of these other worldly gimmicks with Game Pass and backwards compatibility. Like backwards compatibility is nice, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't be like the driving force of your
no,
ecosystem. Like you need
I
new games.
yeah, I'm not gonna say backwards compatibility is not helpful as you just said. But here's the thing: the Switch didn't have it, and it sold like crazy. The PS4 didn't have it, and it sold
Like
extremely
crazy.
well. Yeah.
It's because those systems had really good games that drove people to purchase them.
So, um, like, uh, if you, it's literally, it's corny as it's from a corny movie, but it's literally, if you build it, they will come. But Microsoft didn't build crap,
No, they did not.
and so no one came. And unfortunately, with Game Pass, like, it's a neat idea, but it's very clearly a supplementary people think look at. I have PlayStation Plus Extra, but I use it as a supplementary.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just buy the games outright, and it's clear what the market has said. So this is the same thing I've said with the Steam versus Epic stuff. Um, I don't think it's a big deal that people games are exclusive to Epic because it's a free launcher. But very clearly, the market is not willing to move to Epic. They are hunkered down on Steam. So if you're a third-party publisher, unless you're literally Alan Wake 2, where a game wouldn't exist without Epic, then you need to put your game on Steam because that's just where the market's at.
Yep.
And it's the
Nobody
same
knows
thing
that
with
better than Ubisoft.
mhm. It's the same thing with Game Pass and people buying games. Neat idea, but clearly people just do not want a subscription. They want to buy their games outright. That's what the market has said. Like, you can't really argue with it at that point. That's just you got to do what you got to do to make money. I mean, hell, uh, the I think God of War Ragnarok is now being put on Sony's PlayStation Plus subscription service for extra, and that came out in 22.
Hmm.
Like, it's been over 2 years, and now they're doing it because they actually had data for looking at Horizon Forbidden West. Because Horizon Zero Dawn sold a lot, and it had a really long tail. They had data where they put Forbidden West into service a year after, and they looked at that tail, and it fell off. And that was the last time they put something that close onto the service.
Yep.
Like, Sony took one game for Sony to learn a lesson, and it was still a year away. So they're Sony's going the strategy of, you're gonna pay $70 for my game, and it's gonna be a couple years before I even put on that service.
Yep.
And it's
When
very
people
clearly
stop
worked out for
paying
them.
$70 for the game.
Mm-hmm. But people haven't stopped. I paid $70 for God of War Ragnarok. I paid over 200 for Spider Man.
Yes. So did I. So did I.
And you do it
So
again.
I would do it again. Hit me up for that Wolverine Collector's Edition too. I'll be there.
You bought the Spider Man plates. You bought the
19,
controller.
19 inches
I bought the
of
controller.
Wolverine. 19 inches of
Yeah.
Wolverine. Let's get it.
Oh God.
I probably would buy a Wolverine controller. I don't think I'd do Wolverine plates though,
No.
but I would do a Wolverine controller. And depending on how cool this collector's edition is, I would probably do the collector's edition.
Yeah. But still, like, it very clearly showed no one cares about Game Pass. Like, I'm not, like, uh, it's not an incentive for me. I'm not subscribed to Game Pass on my PC. It's not worth it. Like, I'd rather just buy what I want off of Steam if I'm gonna buy a PC game. Like, I really enjoyed I played Hi-Fi Rush. I think Hi-Fi Rush was the last PC Game Pass game I played. If I want to play it again, I can get it on my PlayStation, or I can buy it on Steam so I can get it off my Steam Deck.
Yep.
There are better places to play Xbox games now, and that is the message they have sent, and it's been received.
Well, and Game
At
Pass
this,
has consistently underperformed their expectations every single time. So
Mhm.
it's very clear that it's just not working. It's not sustainable.
They projected to make Activision this whole purchase of Activision profitable, they would need 100 million subscribers by 2030. They ain't gonna get it.
Not even
There's no way they
close.
can get it. They're not even gonna go. So right now they're like 34 million. That's what people check.
Unless,
And that 34 million they gave was because they combined Xbox Live Gold with Game Pass.
yep.
So they're not gonna hit that number
No.
anywhere close.
Yeah, unless they somehow put it on PlayStation and embed it into Steam and all of this crazy shit, put it on Switch too.
But I highly doubt they're gonna be able to do that.
No,
I
they're
don't.
not.
There's no way in hell Sony will let them do that.
Yeah, Sony would
Uh,
laugh at them in their face.
yeah.
And then
Maybe
when
if
they
you could
start
get.
crying from laughing so hard, they're gonna wipe their tears with money.
Yeah. Nintendo, I don't. You never know. I don't think Nintendo would. Um, this Valve and like the Steam Deck, I could see like putting Xbox Game Pass through Steam proper. I don't think so, but like having an Xbox app available on the Steam Deck, I could see Valve being cool with that. Um, and just having make sure you have a verification system, make sure the game works on Steam Deck and all that fun stuff. I could see that, but that's still going to help. Just putting it on Steam Deck alone ain't going to help Microsoft's prospects.
Yeah, no, no. But I mean, there is precedent for Steam at least because like you can get EA Play through Steam,
Yeah,
so
so
there is
that could
precedent for it.
that could help them.
Yeah, but they're not
But
gonna get to 100 million.
no, absolutely not. Because I mean, even if they create like an app function through Steam for Xbox Game Pass, they're still competing with something else on Steam for cheap games. The Steam Summer Sale, and
And
people
fall
love
sale and winter sale and Chinese New Year sale and and spring sale
yeah. We
and just
both
because
know
sale and
we both know how badly those Steam sales have hurt because since we both have Steam decks.
yep,
I
yep,
don't
yep,
I don't think Game Pass is gonna be able to put much of a dent because of that.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see what route Microsoft takes with this third party. Um, I mean, but if old Satya Nadella wants to make as much money as humanly possible, the only way to go is everything third party all the time.
I said they saw the proof in the pudding with Black Ops. Sure, it's COD, but still. And then Indiana Jones right out of the corner, and I'm gonna buy Indiana Jones. It comes out on PlayStation, so I could imagine because apparently the game was underperforming. So I could imagine it's saying on PlayStation might beat both. Like it might be the highest performing
Oh yeah,
there.
100% because it's PlayStation is the target audience.
Hmm.
Like, like
This is what PlayStation gamers love. That type of
it's
stuff.
it's it's first person Uncharted. Like that's PlayStation.
Yeah, that is Sony's bread and butter.
Like
So I
cinematic
think it was
cinematic action adventure game that is PlayStation to a T.
yeah.
Capital italicized really really big T.
Yeah. So
Um
I mean, it sucks because I mean, Indiana Jones I hear is really good. That would be a great win for them, but it is
I'd
kind of
like to
like
get it done before our game of the year conversation, but I don't think I'm going to get that one done. But we'll see.
fair.
But I have enjoyed my time with it. I'm like
Yeah,
5 hours into it. So, what was next on the docket?
Concord.
Ah, yes.
We filleted Nintendo. We filleted Microsoft. We're filleting Sony now.
The unmitigated disaster that was Concord. So, let's set the
I didn't.
stage.
I didn't expect like Suicide Squad was like a crash and burn. We were all making fun of it. I didn't expect a company to go hold my beer. I can do a spectacular crash out, and that person is saying hold my beer is fucking Sony.
Sony wants to be the best at everything, including failing.
I guess.
So let's set the stage. Concord had been announced, like teased, like well before this, but it was officially shown off in May during a PlayStation showcase, and with a cinematic trailer and some gameplay footage. Obviously, it was a hero shooter. Looked like Guardians of the Galaxy Light.
Off of Timu.
Also, yeah, off of Timo. And I remember being interested since it was a hero shooter. You were kind of a little bit more lukewarm on it, but whatever. It
The
enters
internet was
open
not.
beta in July, and nobody played it. It had like 700 players on Steam because it was a live service game from Sony, so it released on PC and PlayStation the same day. It only had like 700 players during the beta, which is not good.
Oh, I don't know how much was on PlayStation. I did try the game out when it had this free weekend.
Yep.
And again, we're shitting on the game. I wanted to preface it because like Suicide Squad had issues, like even like game mechanic fundamental problems. Concord, on the other hand, it ran fine. Its gameplay was what you would expect. There was nothing fundamentally like mechanically wrong with the game. But damn, like I enjoy sci-fi. I prefer sci-fi to fantasy. These designs of the character were just like, what the fuck? Nothing looked memorable.
Yep.
It looked like the most dull, generic thing you could say. I mean, I couldn't remember any of the names of the characters. There was a mushroom dude, I think, and there was John Concord. I don't know what his name was, but it looked like generic dude. So we're calling him John Concord,
John
honestly.
Concord. Yeah, I don't really remember any people's names. Like I can point like if you showed me a character between them and Overwatch, like I could point the Concord character out. But like, yeah, none of the design was particularly interested. Pretty much everybody reviewed the game said the game ran fine, did all of its intentions fine. It just was so bland that you could get everything that it did better elsewhere.
I mean, Overwatch at the time was still a big game in town for hero shooters, and Overwatch still, we've been kind of shitting on it a little bit because Marvel Rivals, but like Overwatch still has iconic designs. People shit
Yes.
on Overwatch because they have so much potential with these designs and they just don't do a lot with them.
Yes. Characters like Tracer, Widowmaker, Reinhardt, Reaper are in the pantheon of famous video game characters now.
Yeah.
Like they are discernible, they are recognizable, and Concord did not have any of that.
Oh, and on top of that, no, and again, I want to say I think their intentions were pure in a sense. They
Yes.
were charging $40 for the game,
Yes.
but they had no microtransactions. So like just upfront, and we'll give you everything else. Like that's actually kind of an old school way to do it. I can appreciate it, but again, that's not how the market responds to these things anymore. Overwatch went free to play. Now, granted, it has some issues because it's really overcharging in its item shop, but they still went free to play with the hero shooter.
Yes. Marvel
Uh,
Rivals, free to play. Uh,
Marvel Rivals is dominating now. And now, granted, its iconic designs is Marvel care, so it kind of had a leg up because it's Spider-Man. But still, like even the fact that with Marvel Rivals, they had iconic characters already with Spider-Man, Venom. These don't look like generic. We just ripped them from the MCU and called them a day skins. They actually like, no, we're gonna put our own spin on it and still make them look good.
yes. Yes, and the gameplay as well. So it has the sauce. Like Concord to me is like an unseasoned, bland, cooked
It's
chicken
unseasoned.
breast.
I understand where you're like, it's unseasoned chicken.
Yeah,
They threw it in the
like
oven and called
like
it a day.
you can still eat it. It won't make you sick, but damn, you wish you were eating literally anything else.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy. I never thought about that. That is it is unseasoned chicken.
Yeah, like
That is
like
what it is.
a hundred
God damn.
percent still edible. You will not get sick. It's fine. It's
There's no
even cooked
salmonella.
properly, but
Yeah, there's no
damn, you
salmonella.
wish you were eating anything else.
Yeah.
And so unmitigated disaster during the beta. They launched the game. I think its peak was like 2,000 players on Steam versus like
Apparently, reports are the game sold about 25,000 copies total.
yeah,
Between
unmitigated disaster. We talk about games in the millions of sales. Metaphor and Sonic Cross Shadow Generation sold 1 million copies in a day, day one. 25,000 across its
in 2 weeks,
lifespan
which is 2 weeks.
which is 2 weeks, which we'll get to,
Huh.
is crazy. But
Lo-
yeah,
lo-
unmitigated disaster. I think the peak on Steam was like at 2,200 players or something like that. Reviews came in. Most people gave it like anywhere between
or
6 and 8
sevens.
out of 10. Like it,
Like again, you said it perfectly. I never thought of the analogy, but yeah, you say it's unseasoned chicken. Like it
there
tastes
ain't no
fine.
sauce.
There's no salmonella. You're not gonna get sick. But there's no sauce. There's not even salt and pepper in it.
Yeah, because
Like
most like I said, most reviewers said the game ran fine, game played as intended. There were no bugs, there were no issues,
again,
but just like nothing was memorable, nothing was fun, nothing was like
and that
setting it
and that was
apart.
and that was my experience. I did get a chance to play it the beta, and that's exactly what it was. Like it ran fine. Everything seemed up on the up and up. It just bland. Again, and I say this as someone who likes sci-fi. Nothing here was redeemable about it. And you could kind of feel the because the game was revealed in State of Play in May of last year. And that opening trailer was kind of a goofy, like, okay, that's interesting. Very, Guardians of the Galaxy, light here. But what is this game anyway? Because the cinematic trailer showed nothing. And then it was revealed to be a hero shooter. And you could feel the air deflate out of it as it was being revealed.
Yeah, yeah. So game doesn't do well at launch. Literally less than 2 weeks after launch, Sony pulls the game, gives refunds to everybody, whether you asked for one or not, takes the game offline and says, "Hey, we're gonna maybe change some things up. We're gonna see how this goes. We're gonna figure out a new path forward for Concord because clearly this wasn't it." And then a couple months later, that's when they dissolved the studio, Firewalk Studios. Um, Reports are as high as $400 million lost between the cost of acquiring Firewalk and the marketing and the game's development, but for sure they lost $200 million on the development of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, 200. 400 seems a little much just considering everything. But 200, 250 seems about right. Um, but yeah, no, it's shocking. I will say it is kind of funny because they start off with that pleasure play with Concord and Crash and Burn. They ended it with Astrobot, their eventual game of the year, and Concord is shut down on the same day Astrobot is released.
Yeah,
Like Astrobot is dancing on Concord's grave.
Astrobot is PlayStation Jesus. He's the
Literally,
he's the
he's
Messiah.
literally he is literally PlayStation Jesus. I mean, like we played Astrobot. Actually, we should Astrobot review. And I think
Yeah.
about it.
Yes, we
Uh,
should.
but literally, in the game, he literally is PlayStation Jesus. Uh, but no, Jesus, it's like it is. It was kind of like the most like holy crap thing because like again, I will say I think there was worse games that released that last year. There were definitely worse.
Yes.
Suicide Squad, I
Yeah.
think, is a worse game.
100%.
Um, but to witness the crashing and burning of it is just, especially again from someone who has a good a track record as Sony has. Because again, one of the things I've said in past passes, when was the last time they had not just a failure on Concord's scale, but it's a failure in general?
I
Because
mean,
even Days Gone, I wouldn't
I
call failure.
yeah, Days Gone you wouldn't call a failure. It sold decently and reviewed decently. I mean, I think the last failure like this on this scale would be either the PS3 launch or the data breach in 2012.
Yeah, so we're not even talking about software though. Like when's the
Yeah,
time they had a software crash?
probably never.
Yeah, like it's crazy. But even even that one that is crash and burn, but it's like it flopped. Like
Yeah,
they
like I
don't
said,
have
probably
flop.
never. I can't think of a Sony first party title that did horribly.
Yeah,
Even some
like
of like the fringe ones like the Resistance franchise, like I don't think sold like so terribly that they had to be pulled from the market.
yeah, it's just crazy how this all happened. And again, there was mistakes at the top made because this is part of their live service push they were trying to do, and it's like nobody asked for this, dude. Now we'll say, I think I said this in our most recent episode that hasn't aired yet. Well, it will have been aired by the time this episode goes aired. Um, at least it seems like, to me at least, Sony is learning. They're not
Yes.
going, we're gonna keep trying, we're gonna keep doing it. When Suicide Squad flopped, WB just doubled down and said we want to keep doing live service. Hell, they even, it seemed like they were implying they want Hogwarts Legacy 2 to be live service, which, I mean, help yourself. If Crash and burn that game, I don't give a
That's
shit.
that's the ultimate not learning a lesson.
No, it's the dumbest thing. Like, one made you money, one crashed and burned. You want to make sure the game that made you money is more like the game that crashed and burned. At least Sony's going, okay, this crashed and burned a lot. I'm just gonna go back to where it's safe, because clearly y'all just want me to do that.
Yeah.
You know what? I can respect. You
Oh
tried.
no, I guess I'll have to go back to making really awesome action adventure games that get nominated for Game of the Year every single year. Oh no.
Yeah.
Shit.
So, like, it's credits do. At least it seems to me they are taking their lessons to heart. And that's the most you can ask. It kind of like nothing venture, nothing gain. You fucked up and you learned a lesson. Cool.
And $200 million fuck up is a pretty big fuck up.
It's a pretty big fuck up. Luckily, they've had some things to cushion that fall. Like the PlayStation's selling pretty well.
Yes.
The console's selling well. Games are selling well in the console. They're getting their 30% cuts from things. Hell, they had an increase in shares from copies sold of Call of Duty. So, and they did nothing.
Yes.
They don't have to spend money on Activision, advertising anymore. So they made it up otherwhere. So
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine. But it's kind of they took a lick this year. They took a hard lick, but damn, it was as I said, it was just one of those things where it was a train wreck from somewhere you didn't expect it from. And it was just a crazy train wreck.
Yeah. When I saw the report that it was already shut down, I was like, it literally released 2 weeks ago.
That's what all we're doing. We're like, hey, what the fuck?
What the hell? Same level, Suicide Squad, $200 million loss. They are shutting it down. When this is put out, the shutdown will be weeks.
I mean, luckily they're doing turning into a single player function, so at least they're doing that.
Yes.
It's not being full Concord.
Yes, that's true.
The only accessible thing of Concord Media now is episode of Secret Level. That's it. That's the only thing that Concord is in Lost Media now.
Again, they refunded you whether you liked it or not. Like, they took
unless
the game from your library.
Unless you had a physical copy, and then they told you, talk to the retailer about that. But digital copy, like Steam users and people bought it off the PlayStation Store, nope, game's gone. Here's your money back.
Yep.
Like,
Crazy.
Honestly, if I had the physical copy of Concord, I wouldn't sell it back. I kind of like, this is an historic thing now.
This is a cool thing now. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, if you still have one of those physical editions of Concord, keep that, because that's you have record now of one of the greatest flops in video game history.
Yeah, that's a
like
piece of...
It's like all those people that have like copies of ET for the Atari. Like, you're holding a piece of history. It's not a good piece.
No,
it is a piece, not a good piece, but a piece. So yes, I think that does it for all the bad stories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
So, we'd like to close this little retrospective of the year by just going over the fact that this was not a bad year in gaming. Despite 15,000 people being laid off from their roles in the video game industry, this was not a bad year for video games. Standout releases: Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, 94 on Metacritic. Astrobot, 94 on Metacritic. Won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Metaphor Refantasio, 94 on Metacritic. Game of the Year's nominations all around. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, 92 on Metacritic. Slay the Princess, the Pristine Cut, 91 on Metacritic.
I need to play that again.
Balatro, 90 on Metacritic, nominated for Game of the Year. Indie that came out of nowhere. It was a good year for video games. It wasn't a 2018. It wasn't a 2023, but it still was a good year for video games. I mean, even Xbox had some hits. Indiana Jones in the Great Circle, 86 on Metacritic, nominated for a bunch of awards. Hellblade also nominated for a bunch of awards. Won the voice acting award. It got an 81 on Metacritic. Like there were lots of great games that released this year in 2024.
I mean, there was Tekken 8 came out this year, did really
Tekken 8,
well.
yep.
Um, there was also
Sparking Zero,
Sparking Zero came out, did really well. Persona 3 Reload came out. I had my issues with. I haven't played yet. I have issues. I wanted Katone in the game, but the game sold really well.
yep.
And
I
I for nothing.
quite enjoyed Persona 3 Reload. I was thinking about it today. I was thinking about it today. I actually prefer the aesthetics of Persona 3 Reload over Metaphor.
Ooh, that's a take. That's a take.
I
Yeah.
just the way the menus are laid out, all that stuff. I liked it better than
Yeah.
Metaphor's. I think
Yeah.
Metaphor's fit what Metaphor is. That's not what I'm saying, but like just all of the stuff for Persona 3 aesthetic wise, I think I greatly prefer.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
There's also another remake, the Silent Hill 2 remake, a game nobody thought was gonna be any good. I didn't think it was gonna be good, and then it came out, it was getting praised. Like, what the hell? Bloober Team actually did it.
Yeah.
One of the greatest games ever made, and you actually successfully remade it. So I mean, I just bought the game recently. Hopefully, I can get Dragon Age done real quick, and I can play that.
On
Um,
the horror game front, Bloomhouse, a famous horror movie producing company, got into the game sphere. They have a whole indie label now for making sure horror games get out there. Their first game, Fear the Spotlight, did really well. So that's good. I actually put it on my wish list. I've heard that it's not actually that like scary. It's more like atmospheric, and so
mm,
it might be a good horror game for those of us like me that aren't really horror game got people. So, show us some support for a cool thing. The Game Awards were not bad in 2024, as we've seen.
no,
You can
that's
check out our coverage on it.
Um, some good titles released. Announcer. The indie game scene did do really well. There was I personally enjoyed it 1,000 times resist very much. I thought the game was super narratively
Yeah.
compelling.
Palworld, as
Um,
we've already talked about this year. Balatro, as we've already talked
I'll
about.
say Balatro. I mean, that game deserves all the praise in the world because I mean,
Hmm.
like taking the old 52 deck of cards, and creating a new game with that same deck of cards, which I assume like I don't know what the hell else you can do with these cards at this point because I felt everything that you could have done has already been done. Um, and when this guy said, "What if I turn it into a roguelike?"
Yeah.
And
And
it worked.
and it worked. And it worked.
And he won best debut indie, best mobile game, best indie at the Game Awards. I
One
mean,
game of the year at Golden Joysticks.
this
Nominated for
this
game of the year at Dice.
this is a $600 device and is now just a blaster machine at this point.
Well, mine's not. I do play Blatro on it, but I
Yeah,
don't play a whole
but I
lot.
mean, right now it's played nothing but Blaster the past like 6 weeks on it. Um, I mean, it's crazy. Animal Well come
Mhm.
out this year.
First game from Donkey's publishing arm for indie games, and it did super well, highly rated.
We talked about Power World earlier,
Yep,
doing super well. Um,
indie game that
we
literally
met,
took over the world this year.
mhm. Like
So,
there was good things. We praised Sega a lot in our publisher tier list videos, but Sega just had a banner year.
mhm.
Persona 3 Reload, as we mentioned, Metaphor Refantasio,
Like a Dragon,
uh,
Infinite Wealth.
Infinite Wealth, Sonic X Shadow Generations, the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie. Like, everything went right for Sega this year.
Yep,
um, I don't think, yeah, again, I'm not saying 2024 was as good as year 2023. No, but 2023 is an outlier year.
yep,
Like, 2024 is actually just more of a normal year.
yep.
Honestly, I think it's better than some other years. I think it's probably better than 21 was.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So, um, not everything can be 23 or like 2018 or 2017. Like those years are freaks of nature. Um, but it's okay. This is a normal year. And hey, this year, we can have a bit of a dip in the year because this year we're gonna get Monster Hunter Wilds very soon, a new Yakuza game already. Uh, we're getting more than likely. I don't say more than likely. There's a decent chance Grand Theft Auto 6 5 releases this year. Like, and Capcom has already probably out their sleeves.
Mario
Ghost of
Kart
Yote
9.
Yeah, Mario Kart 9, the Switch 2, Ghost of Yote, Death Stranding 2. Like, things happen. Lulls happen. Not every year can be as stacked as 23 was. It's just not possible. But I think for all the most part, I think this year had a lot to say. I was personally satisfied with what came out this year.
Yeah, like I said I've completed 17 games this year, and so when we do our game of the year list, usually we do a most disappointing or worst game of the year. I don't have one of those for this year.
No, I know. I
Um,
think we do. Well, I don't understand how you played it. I have one. I won't say it.
oh,
We'll save
yeah,
the video, but I have
I don't
one.
think I have one. I'd have to go grab my tablet and look at my list, but I don't think I have one. Um, because the things that I played, I genuinely loved. I got some games off of my backlog. I got some indie games finished. I got some major AAA games finished, and so it was a good mix this year.
Mhm.
Is it my favorite year on record? No.
No, no. But I think it's
But
an issue. I think there's a lot of issue people have is it's either all or nothing to some people.
yes,
Each year has to escalate itself. It's like that's not possible.
it's not.
Some there's so not, and there's nuance to it. I said 2024 is not as good as 2023, but it was still a good year all around. I mean,
Yes,
like again, we got 2 new Atlas games this year. I got none of that in 23.
yes, yes. And I'm fortunate enough to have Spider-Man 2 years in a row. Spider-Man 2 and Marvel Rivals.
I mean,
even
Marvel
though,
Rise
even
will be.
though, even though Marvel Rivals is a game that has made me hate that Spider-Man.
But I mean, Marvel Rise will be on both our Game of the Year list.
Yes,
Um, I mean, the fact that someone finally, in a sense, because there's been other hero shooters that have come and gone, but no one made Overwatch bleed.
yes,
Or Rise has made Overwatch bleed.
yeah. If not Delta Mortal Wound, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, it only got a black eye. It's more than bleeding. They swung and hit hard.
650 peak concurrent players. 650,000 peak concurrent players is crazy on one
Yeah,
platform, which is not
yeah,
the largest platform that has it. I would kill to see PlayStation's numbers for Marvel Rivals
I would too.
because it's gotta be like significant. It's gotta be millions.
Yeah, I think what I saw with some financials that Marvel has put out, I think they said what it seemed like. I actually think that they said the PC player base is the largest player base,
That's interesting.
but but financially wise, what happened was the um the apparently Marvel players like on Steam, there's more players on Steam, but they're spending a little bit less. But there's less players on PlayStation, but they're spending a bit more.
That's interesting. I wonder why that would be.
Don't know.
Dogs barking. Yeah, that's interesting to see if that's actually the case or not. I bought a few skins, but I haven't gone like hog wild or anything. So
Well, I think probably what most players do
probably
is
because
just
I
due
don't
to
enjoy playing Spider-Man because I'm terrible at him.
I think most was due to China because China's
That's true.
very PC centric. So uh especially not as popular there. So but over in the States, I would imagine it's probably close to 50-50.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, if I was good at Spider-Man, maybe I'd buy more.
By Bagman.
I'd probably buy Iron Spider and Chasm. I'm a huge Ben Riley fan. Chasm is Ben Riley's current form
Hmm.
in the comics. So, but give me his classic Scarlet Spider skin. I'm all over that. I'm all over that. All over that. Maybe when Miles comes out, maybe Miles won't be as hard as Spider Man, and I'll just be a Miles main. Who knows?
Or you just suffer through it and you become good at Spider-Man.
I really hate it. I hate it. I hate the pressure, the immediate pressure that comes with blocking in Spider-Man and knowing that I'm gonna fail my team. Because there's a mission in the current battle pass where you had to play Spider-Man or upvote Spider-Man, and I just said, "Fuck it, I'll play Spider-Man. I'll help out everybody." And I helped out no one. I did nothing for like 3 games. It was pretty
No.
bad. And I was giving it my all. I was doing my best. It just it just wouldn't
Wasn't working.
happen. So But yeah, that's 2024, guys. That's 2024. Uh, a real shit year in some aspects, and a real decent year in other aspects. Um, and as always, we just have 2025 to look forward to now. Let's hope that there's not so many layoffs, and we get a good collection of games. Maybe Nick will complete games in a timely fashion so we can get reviews out for him this year.
I think this year will be a bit better for that. I hope.
Don't play Life is Strange. Just that's
I
the
like
whole
how
thing that derailed us this year.
I've got double exposure left. That's it. We're fine.
Ay,
Ah,
ay, ay.
shit. I gotta fucking play that before I get fuck.
Ay, ay, ay.
All right. All right. Well, I got.
At least when I got through my backlog, it was games that I hadn't played before, and you played games that you played again and delayed our reviews.
My bad. I went two of the. Some of
Marvel
them I.
Midnight Suns was worth it. Go play Marvel Midnight Suns. Wait for a Steam sale. Don't buy it at full $60 price. It's not worth that anymore. But wait for a Steam sale. Buy Marvel Rivals. So as we bid adieu to 2024, not quite yet. We still have our Game of the Year conversation, which, barring a ton of news, should be the next episode. So,
Yeah.
tune in for that to see who we pick for games of the years. We've left hints throughout the year. You know who's going to be in the list. Just now, a matter of what mystery indies we played that we didn't talk about, and where they're all going to land. So,
Where's Metaphor and Astrobot going on our list? Because we know they're there.
both of those will be in my top 5. I can guarantee that.
Yes. Agreed.
I
But
don't.
where?
I can promise Astrobot will not be number 1.
I can promise the same.
Yes, I love Astrobot. Sony gave me the celebration of Sony that 30 years of playing PlayStation was definitely worth. But I have it insulted me personally that Spider-Man was DLC. So you lose.
Okay.
You lose. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel so you can be informed when we do post the Metaphor review that's been long fabled and the Game of the Year discussions. Like the video, helps us out a lot. Share it with some like-minded friends. And as always, get in the comments. Let us know what was the biggest moment in your mind for 2024. Um, what news story stuck with you the most? Was it all the layoffs? Was it Concord? Was it the Game Awards? Like, let us know what news stories stuck out in your minds. And as always, we'll see you in the next video.
Adios.